Now. Just had to do a little bit of a technical shuffle there, but as we are starting up, looks like we are all set. All right, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. It's October 14th, 2021, and my name is Jared. So, as we're getting into the end of this week, we're seeing a little bit of an interesting open this morning. As always, just kind of referring back to our initial weekly expected move. As the market has been oscillating back and forth over the past couple of weeks, we're using this more as a gauge of the ability for the market to move in regards to option risk. Now, as we are staying within the expected move this week, as of this moment, it's worth noting that we have not tested the lower bound of the expected move quite yet. Market did come and threaten that relative area on yesterday's session, but we did see a recovery, and we're seeing that 435 to 436 range really come into play inside of the S&Ps. Now, on this gap of this morning, we'll look at some other technicals, but keep in mind that if this is a more bullish gap, essentially if the market takes this gap and runs with it, we do have some upside risk in regards to our top end expected move, and that's going to sit around 447 on the S&P ETF or 4471 on the S&P index. So getting back to our SPY, let's take a look at some of this pre-market action and some of the nuance behind it. Now, as we all know, the market is still in a relatively settled daily downtrend. And what's occurring in these past couple of weeks is the potential for that trend change to start to shift. Essentially, we need certain lower time frame movements to change their relative trend. And usually this involves an impulsive move to the upside, setting up some sort of higher low on shorter time frames, and then eventually sort of breaking through the most recent lower high in regards to the daily. Now, what can set all of this up? First and foremost, when we start to get into a downtrend, we often just want to mark these highs and lows and kind of see where this natural resistance is forming in the market. If you'll note, back in time, as I draw this trend line down, we did have resistance back here, and that sort of initiated a larger sell-off in the market. We also saw some of that resistance be tested in this range, with the understanding that as we were breaking this resistance for the first time, market actually sold back and created sort of a false breakout look, albeit this is a sloping resistance as opposed to horizontal. Now, as we've seen some price action exist above this trend line, it can be worth sort of analyzing this and starting to draw it out a little bit further, kind of seeing, do we have more inflection points that are marked by these false breakouts or some of the relative price action we're getting near these highs? And I would argue that if we start from our all-time high and simply swing it out to this false breakout, we can start to see that these attempts for breakouts, which of course have failed so far, also mark fairly well against this resistance. So worth mentioning that we are back in this area, and ultimately we are testing at this pre-market. Now, if you look a little bit closer, you'll even see that in pre-market, we're actually starting to get a bit of a breach of this area. This is sort of that early sort of indication that maybe things are a bit more powerful to the upside than initially perceived. And especially in regards to taking out these swing highs, we sort of need this type of energy to be built in the market. Now, when I say energy, another thing that we've also been talking about is our volume profile. The idea that the market gives advantage to bulls and bears relative to fair price, essentially oversold or overbought conditions, along with the fact that in the lack of catalyst news, i.e. something like the FOMC minutes that we saw yesterday, the market often settles near these fair prices, simply waiting for that information to come out and then responding to it accordingly. Now, we've been trapped in this range, and more notably the past 2 days, a very tight range around this volume profile VPOC standard deviation curve, basically the top end of the bell curve. And this 435 price level has been relatively sticky. You've seen in both intraday price action, along with the fact that sort of selling this 436 high and buying around that 433.75 low has offered advantage on an intraday perspective, basically shorting that range high, buying that range low, and simply targeting something like 435 for each of those short-term plays. Now, what's happening is we are technically getting a range breakout. It is a smaller overall range, but what makes it more important is the fact that it has been built around VPOC. So as we are getting this expansion of range, as we are moving away from VPOC, and as we are starting to potentially breach swing highs, you can expect that as the market may continue higher, shorts are going to start to have to cover. If you were short on these swing highs, your risk is somewhere in this elevated range, or at least it should be, basically up to this high volume shelf here at the VA high around 444. Additionally, if you are playing short term and the range breakout that's occurring, you are now getting forced into pressure as a short or as a bear. And essentially, this can provide the energy to carry this market forward. Now, we've gotten some information from the FOMC. Ultimately, that information can be digested and analyzed as seen fit. But what's more important to me is how the market reacts to it. And there's a few things that occurred yesterday outside of this chart that make me think a little bit more on the bullish side, along with the fact that we are getting that gap up confirmation at the moment. Now, some of those things include some of our risk factors. Let's take a quick look at what happened to the dollar. Over the past 2 sessions, we've had a fairly decent downside move inside of the dollar index. This has provided a bit of energy for equities, which often perform well in falling dollar environments. You'll see that some of the volatility back in March was preceded by a rising dollar. And ultimately, the recovery from those March lows occurred during a falling dollar environment. Now, this is a bit early in regards to this being a top for the dollar, but when we look back in time, we've been marking these relative swing highs, and the fact that we're coming into them for not the first time, but essentially testing them from below. So short term, it can be worth considering that this may set another sort of range high test. We've seen it here, and we saw the reaction following. It's worth considering that until the dollar breaches this upper area, it can fall quite precipitously and ultimately can start to test something like the swing lows that we've been getting, along with just falling back to prior support, something like the low end of 92 in regards to this index. So that's, of course, a bit of a bullish sign. One of our risk items, one of our risk correlation indexes is starting to top, at least in the short term. Volatility, something that we haven't really looked at in quite a while, but as the market's been making these lower highs, volatility has slowly but surely been coming off. We sort of mark this 20 level as a bit of a shelf. in regards to higher VIX readings above 20 are often a sign of a bit of expansive range in the market. Essentially, you're going to be seeing those back and forth whipsaw type actions that we saw last week when we were setting up that low end range below 435. Now, as we are starting to fall below 20, and you can see that we're actually gapping down on the VIX, watching for what occurs on this swing low. If the market starts to breach this low, it can be worth considering that we are coming back to test the low end of our VIX and essentially returning back to a state of relative normalcy. Essentially, some of that fear and some of the hedging activity is starting to come off, and that can provide the fuel, once again, for an upside move, a larger than average upside move in particular. And finally, as I shift into something like the TLT, and actually we'll go ahead and start with just the 10-year index. We're seeing, once again, a bit of a drop here in the interest rates on the 10-year. And as we look at the TLT, there's some volatility here worth considering. We went ahead and marked that while this move was to the downside, when you start to shift into futures products and simply look at where the actual /ZN or the 10-year US Treasury note futures sit, they were sitting at relative lows. So expecting a bounce here was, in a technical sense, I would say more advantageous than not from the bull perspective. Basically, seeing the bulls defend this relative low, and that reaction should occur inside of both interest rates and these sort of blended products, noting that the TLT is not necessarily reflecting the 10-year. Something like the TLH is more of a blend of the 10 and 20s. So all this combined together, just seeing that we're hitting some very major inflection points and being prepared for the appropriate reaction. The market bounced a bit stronger in some of these products, I think, than most people expected, but we were at the right price levels for that reaction to occur. So it's worth paying attention to these levels and just seeing what the market provides. So all in all, this gap up in the market is being met with some correlated buying. And as with some of the correlated selling we're seeing, that can provide the stage for larger than average moves, essentially either trend days to the upside, especially if the bears cannot defend that prior resistance, along with the fact that we are potentially moving away from a large volume node. Now, markets do this whenever they start to disagree that that is fair price. Essentially, we're going from a region of balance into a time frame of excess, or basically imbalance to the upside. And with all of these moves, something like the Qs as well, starting to look at what is the potential for upside. The Qs, of course, being a bit weaker overall, and just noting that our downtrend resistance, if we're marking from swing highs, still has a bit of room before it's tested. So this is the sort of risk to reward that as a bull, we may want to take advantage of in the short term, and basically some of those signals for bullish activity are starting to flash. We're seeing weakness return to the dollar. The volatility has dropped off. Be watching that intraday to see if it starts to reclaim. And then ultimately, what's happening in the bond market has provided maybe a slight boost back into tech stocks. Remember that as the interest rates were rising, tech was taking sort of the brunt of that downside hit. Now that we saw a bit of an overreaction and a correction, the tech sector may take that as a bit of a bid or a signal to sort of return to some decent levels. Additionally, same idea here with the NASDAQ. Our volume profile, regardless of what time frame you're looking at, sits approximately at 360 for VPOC. So if this market can sort of get away from this area and start to provide some upside, there is the ability for this market to transition into another high volume node, basically another distribution zone that the market has deemed fair in the past. Now, finally, one of our more interesting indexes and ETFs to consider is, of course, the IWM. Now, the reason we've been focused on this is the potential for movement here is so vast in regards to the size of this volume profile. Essentially, if this market ever is to breach this range, we need to give it the opportunity to expand quite heavily, as there is a lot of just relative risk built in this price range. And some of the reasons we think that this might occur very soon is we're seeing the type of price compression that is unsustainable. Essentially, as this compresses, as the market decides to maybe test upper or lower bounds, the amount of energy built here from bulls and bears putting up different positions will eventually breach. And when this occurs, we certainly do not want to fight it. We want to try and take advantage of that movement as far as it's willing to go. So shifting into a lower time frame, we know that VPOC 222 to 220 area, regardless of the time frame that you look at, once again. And as we see this start to move, we want to just take note of swing highs, short-term sort of inflections that have set swing lows, along with the type of compression that's occurred, and maybe position ourselves to take advantage of it, especially if we see momentum or basically just continuation of the trend. So all these factors put together and some of the strength that we're seeing on this gap up, it's worth considering that this may be a larger than average move in the market, because we simply have built up enough time and energy for the market to perpetuate higher. And there are some signals that it may be willing to do so around today and tomorrow. Now, some of the stocks that may provide some of that bullish activity, we've talked about Facebook. Facebook, if we bring up our moving averages, did have a nice bounce off of the 200-day simple moving average. And as we see, this market is being carried forward in pre-market. Just noting some shorter term trends here, and where are some of the strong buy points. It looks as if something as simple as a 1 hour chart can provide some clues, just sort of riding this 20 period on the 1 hour, and ultimately just getting back to previous resistance points, something as simple as 338 to 339. Also noting that if you're into option analysis and you're able to calculate, or just have a website calculate the max pain for Facebook, basically the price strike level that the market makers want to keep this stock, Facebook's max pain is sitting above us at about 340. So if we get volatility and momentum pushing the stock higher, 340 might be an upside target. We'll kind of see if that plays out, because this is one of our weakest overall stocks, but it has hit a point of interest. It is an interest point because of what's happened in the past, not necessarily because it's just the 200-day, but also because the stock has respected it. It has tested it before with large inflections, and during times of chop, it has held this area, setting up for larger than average moves. So Facebook is of interest. We're also watching stocks that have held up quite well inside of this larger volatility in the market. One that stands out to me is Microsoft. Microsoft has seen some of that selling pressure, but is holding very close to our 50 and 20-day moving averages. And as we see in pre-market, we're already getting a bit of a bid, albeit that 300 price level, if we pull it back in time, is going to be of interest, as it is VPOC. So essentially, Microsoft may not have much farther to go, but there is the ability for it to overshoot on a bullish market and then simply return back to value, basically back to our high shelf of interest. And that, of course, can be seen more clearly here. VPOC on this time frame is sitting lower, but as we've moved away, you can see the high volume shelf at 300. Basically, the one that's closest is of the more interest to me. That's true of Google as well. Seeing a bid in this morning session, bit of a gap up. And finally, one of our strongest names has been Tesla. Tesla has continued to sort of buck the trend and has continued to slowly climb, both breaking that 800 price level in recent trading activity, but also sort of breaking out of relatively tight and balanced trading range, just simply holding the 20 and potentially getting that final momentum boost to carry it into some upside target. What that target is yet to be seen, but let's look at volume profile and just sort of give this the potential. There is a bit of a pocket here, and we may be climbing up to that 850. That could be a previous distribution zone for Tesla before seeing our sort of major pullback, something that sort of tests or just tries to disrupt the overall daily uptrend. So all that said, nothing really new in regards to some of this activity. I would say that with the dollar activity, we have seen a boost back into our metals. So I'll just bring this back to a moving average perspective. Gold and silver have gotten a bit of a boost. They were interesting to observe because as the dollar was rising, gold actually found a bit of a short-term bottom, and that has been somewhat confirmed by the secondary leg. As we look at silver as well, you can see that it was testing lows, saw a bit of a boost off of that that gold strength, and now we're seeing continual upside. So these are all worth watching as they're sort of testing previous resistance. They're basically at that inflection point for bears to either take back control, but if the dollar continues to fall, then this might start to perpetuate higher as the sort of bearish thesis falls apart. Essentially, the dollar strength was the bearish thesis for these metals for a period of time. So that's pretty much all I have. For those interested in that sort of max pain analysis, we did have a webinar last week that covered why this price level is often very important to know on stocks that you're trading, more specifically on Fridays, whenever those weekly option series start to expire. Now, the reason to know them ahead of time is if you do get a bid into a stock that has moved away from these price levels, they may act as a bit of a target, essentially market makers trying to move that stock, and of course the retail crowd helping some of that movement back into that price level, ultimately keeping the stock relatively controlled as the options expire. Basically, if you are an option trader and you want to look at pinning strategies, delta neutral type strategies, or even some sort of skewed strategy into that price level, you can take advantage of these max pain strikes and try and use them as bullish, bearish targets or delta neutral sort of areas to consider collecting premium, mostly on the Fridays whenever the options are expiring. So if you're interested in that, we did have that webinar. Feel free to look it up. It's the one where we demystified market cycles, and that website is included as one of the slides. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Trade safe. Have a fantastic Friday. Obviously, let this market sort of tell us whether we're going to see some bullish activity in the next couple of days. Be thinking about some of those upside targets if we continue to see trend. And obviously, do not fight that sort of aggressive momentum unless you see the right signals for another sort of bearish swipe inside of this market. So trade safe, take it easy, and we'll talk more next week. Have a great weekend and stay tuned for pre-market prep.
There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Um, guys, you would not believe this. So we're working on these tech issues that we're having transitioning this morning. And one of the things that Trade Ideas does, as you guys know, it populates the ticker into our platform, right? So for example, let me switch to that screen now so you guys can see it. These tickers here, when I click on them, it's going to populate them here, right? That's the way we get our watch list. To go through this a little bit faster. So this morning, Norm checks in with me on the admin chat asking, hey, am I there? And I type, yeah. And then out of all the tickers it can possibly populate, it populates, yeah, F you to you. Like it populates
F
that
you to
ticker
you.
right on there. It's like unbelievable. So, guys, sorry for the tech issues. We will figure this out. It is taking us a little bit longer to transition to Norm and I in the mornings, but we will get that sorted out eventually. So, apologies for that. With that said, guys, let's get started. We're going to skip over the stuff from yesterday because we want to save some time here. Let's go straight into what's going on with the SPY. We'll come back and look at our gappers list today. Norm, I know you've been up early the last couple of days. Does this gappers look any better for us this morning?
I was just going to say it, dude. It was yesterday morning. I said, one of these mornings, I'm going to come in and I'm going to have a gappers list that doesn't suck. And you
Uh
know what? Next day, there we go.
huh. Nice. Very
There, there,
nice.
it, there is. I don't. Whoever it is, there is some kind of supreme being listening because whoever you might believe that is, they got our gappers list fired up. So anyway,
Excellent.
yeah. So we second day into earnings, bunch of banks reported. We'll get into those in a minute. Really pretty strong. Jobless claims, continuing claims came in. Jobless claims are a little bit lower than expected. PPI, producer price index, that's really the surprise with these high inflation numbers that we've been seeing come on recently. It came in much lower than expected. I believe it was 0.2 versus a 0.6 estimate. So that's good news on that front. So we'll see.
We
0.2
will.
versus 0.5. It was 0.6 last month. Thank you, Jared.
All right. Thank you for that information. All right, guys, let's link our trade ideas properly here because it seems to be populating tickers elsewhere, but besides where it needs to. Here we go. Okay, so we're set there. All right, excellent. Let's take a look at our gappers list this morning. Guys, I almost forgot. Let's give Jared a huge thumbs up for engineering the
Yes.
markets every single morning, guys. Just a lot of information being placed there, a lot of work being done in the back end, and he's up early making sure he's ready for you guys every morning at 8 a.m. Monday through Thursday. So make sure we give him a big thumbs up over on YouTube. Thank you for that. Okay, let's get to our gappers list. Starting with NXR. Wrong screen. NRXP. We saw this yesterday, right? This
Yep.
had a nice day, gap down. And yesterday we took it off our list. We didn't like what we saw there. And was that a good decision? It seems like it was a great decision to keep that off our list. Just look how choppy this thing is here. Let's get the 5 minute. Where is it? The 12. Actually, it actually ran. Is that the 12? Was that yesterday? No. This was the good day. This was 13. This is the 12. So the 12, yeah, it was pretty choppy there. You can say that. So not good. Today they're up 33%. So maybe today is when they're going to put in another good day. Pre-market action definitely looking a lot better. 4.3 million shares traded. I say we take a look at this. Keep it as a low float for today. We'll clean up our list. We'll add a NRXP here. It's got the volume. It's got the pop, right? We had the indecision type day yesterday, and now we're kind of popping up nicely here. So that's looking good. Next, we have Core, Kore. This morning, they are up 28%, 835,000 shares traded. Not a huge fan of the
No.
pre-market action right now. And the daily, is this a recent IPO?
It's a
Yes.
recent it's a recent DSPAC.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not seeing any news on it, so I don't quite know. They had a huge drop when they DSPAC'd. I don't know. I didn't see anything. Maybe somebody else sees the news on it. I looked a few different places, and I'm a little bit behind this morning, so I didn't dig as
Mhm.
deep as I usually do. But usually on a 28% pop, I'm going to find the news pretty fast.
All right, excellent. Peter. Thank you so much
Yes.
for the
Thank you very
$5
much.
bomb there. And I assume you're saying thank you to Jared. Jared appreciates it very, very much. And so will our donations for the month going to breast cancer. So thank you for that. Appreciate you very much, my friend. Okay, so we're going to skip on this one, guys. The catalyst is not great, and the charts here are not looking good neither. TSRI, 1 million shares flow this morning. Also not looking good, guys. This is yeah, we'll skip on this. This is not looking interesting. The daily is all over the place. Pre-market action is not really exciting for a 1 million shares float. Let's move on down because we do have some other good stuff to get to.
I think they had earnings. That's their news, but I agree with you. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
keep
it's
on that
no good. HLBZ. This one was active a couple of weeks ago. We had this on our list. I don't recall trading it. I definitely didn't trade it. I don't recall keeping it on our watch list. Today they are up 24%, 25 right now. 300,000 shares traded. Again, big move from 10 to 20 here to 13. Could be interesting. 7 million shares flow. It definitely has to run. The potential to run here. Maybe a possible low flow, right? Definitely not something you want to trade if you're just starting out, getting your feet wet with trading. This is one. These are two you probably want to stay away from right now. Yeah. They're gonna require some experience, some very fast execution on your part. Within your platform.
So that spread, that thing's gonna move. That thing's gonna move like crazy. It's 3 million share float, and that's got a wild spread. Yeah. So just be careful.
We'll keep it here just as a possible. Thank you for pointing that out, Norm. Again, it might not stay there if the open does not get any better with some good activity as far as price action. OPAD, we've seen this before. I don't like it, guys. We've seen the intraday on this. It is not a low flow stock, so it will move like one. But yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that one. IONQ here this morning. No volume, no activity. We'll skip on this one. SoFi. Today, this one, the daily looks interesting. I'm not a big fan of this one, but the daily does look good. We do have decent volume, 680, now 4.3. We've been running pretty nicely here since mid-August, right? A nice little up run for the most part. The last couple of days been very strong. Maybe a possible, Norm, I'm not sure if you ever traded this one or like this one at all. Maybe a possible today. On this one,
I really haven't traded it. They did get analyst action. Who was it? Goldman or was it Morgan Stanley? A couple of days ago. So we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of stuff on the list, so we can be picky.
There is. I'm actually going to stop right here, guys. There's a couple of names on there. I'm sure we'll go through, but let's look at the next one. NKLA. Is anything happening here? They seem to be up 4%, but for the most part, not much going on. Let's see what's gapping down. That list a lot smaller today. Tiger, it is down 12.7. I love the pre-market action on this one. We do have shares for sure with Interactive Brokers, 10 million. So that's more than enough for everyone. Yeah, I like this one. This looks good today. TIGR, let's add this to our list right over here. TIGR, very good. Next, we have Futu this morning, and they're down 10%. They're getting slammed. Do we know what's the news now? I know, Jerry, we were talking about this
Chinese
earlier.
Regulation.
Oh, that's what it is? Okay. Is that affecting any other Chinese companies like Baba or just Futu? Looks like just Futu.
No, there was another one specifically, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Tiger, yeah, Tiger's Chinese too. That's right there, right next to it on the list as well. But there was one other, and I can't remember which one it was.
Okay. We'll put Futu on here, guys. This is definitely in play today. It's got a nice drop. It's got a catalyst, so worth taking a look at here. Both of these in 3.4, 4.4, down around that 10 to 12% area. So definitely in play. JSPR, this one does not look good, guys. We saw this, was it yesterday, the day before? Whatever it is this down 8%? But just look at everything going on here. As far as this pre-market action, I don't see anything great. Let's see the daily from yesterday. The daily from yesterday morning, again, ended green from 9 all the way to 18. But man, look how this thing traded, right? One pop here, halted there, looks like was able to probably not halt unless we look into the 5 minute and it's somewhere in here or something. But yeah, crazy run. I can only imagine the price action on this one at that time. Again, you're trading what, about maybe 12 million in that matter of minutes there. So again, pretty crazy. After that, doesn't do a whole lot. Second days, right? Second days after such a big move are always tricky. We saw that just with, what was it? Was it NRXP? Same thing here, right? Second day was very choppy. So I'm not going to add that one to my list right now unless there's any catalyst, Norm, that might be worth keeping that on.
Which one?
JSPR. But if not, we'll move on. Yeah.
I agree.
That DATS, wow, horrible day yesterday breaking down here. And look at this breakdown. Got Hotel Assume right on there. Then gaps down almost $1.50, man. This is brutal. Careful with this stock, guys. I mean, what's the float on this? This is 11.5. This is heading nowhere good very fast. So I'm gonna keep it off my list, guys. I don't want to have nothing to do with something that's moving like this. Low floats on the way down are very dangerous, guys. Very dangerous, so be very careful. Sometimes you don't even have shares for short, like we on this one. We do not have shares for short on it, so with Interactive Brokers, so just be careful. RDW this morning, they are down 2%, 125,000. Decent day yesterday. Again, we're going to that second day where the second day play is usually not the best. You want to see that pushing up against the highs for a continuation. We're gapping down right now, so that's not looking all that great so far. Norm, give us some good stuff off of earnings that's happening right now. What do you have on your list?
Well, not off earnings, but GRVI, low float moving.
GRVI. Okay, here we go. This is what we want to see on a low flow stock, guys. Very active, 8.1 million, up 70%. Is there news behind it, or it's just overall
it's something having to do with Amazon. So launches Amazon aggregation division. Not sure what that even means, but
man, as long as you're doing something with Amazon,
if it has Amazon in the name,
doesn't matter. you're gonna go. And we're seeing that here, guys. It up 70%. Great pre-market action. This is the type of stuff we like to see on low flow stocks, right? That action here building up, and you can see the price action. When you see something like pops up like this, that first 5-minute candle like at 4 a.m. in the morning, and they just start dripping down like this, that's no good, right? And then you have like 12 million shares traded. That's usually not great. This right here is what you want to see. This is perfect pre-market action. We got a lot going on, and backed up by a catalyst. You cannot
see if it holds. There are no shares for short, but these when companies announce something going on with Amazon, they can move. They especially these tiny ones.
Pretty well. Yep. All right, cool. Anything else before I take it to the room?
No. That's good enough for me right now.
All right, excellent. All right, let's start over here with Cassie. Cassie, you're giving us Facebook. Facebook has been fun to watch. Let's take a look at Facebook this morning. Again, they're up 1.4 right now. Very light volume at the moment. Again, their daily is interesting. It's going to be great to see what's going to happen in the next couple of days. Might not be today. I'll put it as a possible just in case we get going. There is definitely, they're going to try to push for a bounce, of course, right? They're going to try to push for a bounce here. We'll hopefully be ready and watching that stock when it does. Heading down this morning, thank you for that one. Jimmy, I'll take the first two from you, AMD and BA Bank of America. AMD was nice yesterday, guys. We did not have that one on our list. It wasn't really active, but we called it out in the chat room. This thing was just on fire at the open. Just look at this move here, breaking out from these pre-market highs there. We love that type of play. And just look at the pop you got there on an AMD. All happening early in the morning after that, pretty flat for the most day. Today, they're up another 1.7, and they're daily looking very good, guys. Sitting at a level of resistance right on here. Great resistance, by the way. You draw a line there, you can see we haven't not been able to get above this in quite some time, right? The one day we did, we slammed right below that, and we're back at this highs again. So I think AMD is worth keeping an eye on, guys. We'll keep an eye on AMD. Bank of America, what's going on with the banks this morning? This one specifically up 2%, 1.2 million shares traded. Earnings on this one. All right, so this might be worth watching. I'm still going to put it as a secondary, and the reason is, even with earnings, banks can be funky at times, especially Bank of America. Not the only thing, but the one thing I like about this one is obviously the volume is there, 1.2. That's huge volume for Bank of America.
It's got an 8.25 billion share float. Those don't typically move much.
They don't. That's the thing. They don't move. If you get 50 cents out of this, you're rocking. That's like a $3 move on an AMD or something like that. That is a big move. So the daily looks good here, guys, for possible breakout. But yeah, I agree with you, Norm. It's just I believe we can find something that can move better, right? So I'm going to put it as a secondary just in case it proves us wrong, but I highly doubt that. RFG, you're giving us McDonald's MCD. Take a look here. Is it earnings? Earnings?
Not that I'm aware of, but their pre-market looks horrendous.
Yeah, something. I don't see nothing going
6,000
on here.
shares traded.
Yeah, that's not
No.
gonna cut it. So let's see here. So you have McDonald's.
No.
Well, you have
MCD
McDonald's and
beyond.
BYND. You're going opposite ends here. What's going on?
Beyond.
BYND. Go ahead.
Nothing. It looks like
BYND.
looks like something just came in about them with a little bit of volume coming in. I don't know.
Okay. With McDonald's or BYND?
I mean, I'm just saying that Beyond chart looks like maybe some news came just in the last couple of minutes that moved them a little bit.
Yes, you do got a little bit of something going on here. But RFG, you put both of these on here. Is there something going on that you know about that we don't? Let us know what's going on with that in that area. Fabio, we have AMD. Let's take a look at MERA. We'll take a look at your second one here. MERA this morning, see what's going on with the Bitcoin stuff. The daily looks good. Daily looks good here. For a possible breakout, we're sitting not all-time highs, but we are doing pretty good there. Other than that, I don't like the volume right now. Right now, the volume is not great. But we've seen MERA do this in the past and take off nicely, right? We'll look at your other one here, SQ. We'll look at two from you. SQ this morning up 1.8. Light volume, but the daily looks interesting, right? Daily looks interesting for a possible continuation. Just the volume is not there though, guys. We need to wait on this one to get more activity. Or if you do have the space, put it on a secondary, see if the volume comes in at the market open, and then, you know, call it out in the chat for sure. FCX this morning, they're up 2.5, 125,000. I don't like this one. I know you're looking at it, the beautiful possible breakout here on the daily. But the pre-market action is very light right now as far as volume, and the daily is not great, man. What's the float on this FCX? FCX.
Not a great trading.
Wow. Yeah,
it's a bad intraday.
Yeah, it's a huge float there.
Generally.
So I'm gonna take it off here, but I see what you're looking at. The breakout there on that level does look very interesting. Let's take a look at Plug today. Plug, what do we have this morning? Great volume 1.2. Look at Plug, man. $24 just 2 weeks ago, week and a half. Now sitting at 34. $10 move on this thing, and it's done it pretty well here on the daily. Very, very nice. Definitely extended, guys. Got some great volume. Is this strength going to continue? I mean, gapped up yesterday, ended green, and now we're getting to some areas of resistance right over here. What's the all-time high on this thing? No, it was way up there, 75. So we got some ways to go. But yeah, Plug is interesting. It's really, really strong the last couple of days. What's pushing this thing, guys? Do we know what's pushing this this Plug deal? Looking nice this morning. I'm gonna check yesterday's action. How did it?
They had some news recently. They got an upgrade yesterday. There was some. It's Airbus. I think they're working with on some.
Okay, that's big news
project
for
or
them.
something.
Yeah.
Working on a potential hydrogen-powered aircraft. You know what? They did that about 100 years ago. It's called the Hindenburg.
Yes, somehow is working for them now. Guys, look at this. Here's the issue with Plug though, and because we know Plug can be funky at times. Look at this trading action. Look at the pullbacks, how deep they are, right? So you're in an uptrend, but the pullbacks are going below the moving averages, the VWAP. You know, they come back up, they slam back again to the 20. That is very tough to trade, man. I know the end of the day green and the day looks good, but this is a very tough trading stock. You'll get in here for a move up. You could probably get stopped out a couple of times. By the time you're done with the stop outs, you missed the move. You know, unless you got in here and you were able to survive this pullback, this is not a good trading stock at all yesterday. So don't let the daily fool you. You got to look under the hood a little bit. Yeah, and it's just, it looks very tough, guys. I don't know how you.
I've traded it and I've had good days trading it, but
yeah,
it can move $1 in one direction, but the pullback's 50, 80 cents going.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
just, you know, on its way, just like that chart right there. So
yeah, it's too much for the way we trade, guys. That pullback. All right, heading on down. ALGN. We'll do a few more, then we'll take some more from YouTube, and then we'll move on. ALGN, no, we're not going to talk about this one, MB. I don't know what you see there, but we'll move on to TSM. Also no good. All right, we're going downhill, guys. We're going downhill. TSM's
Taiwan Semi, they reported earnings. They usually trade like garbage, though. You might find another semi stock that get a sympathy trade off their earnings, since that's really usually the first one that comes in. So
yeah. Yeah, again, you got some good volume here, but I agree. I typically do not like to trade this one. They trade good like 3 days out of the year. Today could be one of them. If you want to go with that, you can. No issues there for sure. AMD, we have MERA, we have as a possible. I saw a lot of you guys putting out NVIDIA. Let's take a quick look there. I don't see anything overly exciting besides a possible breakout, right? So we can put it on here. We got a little bit of space for NVIDIA. It had a couple of really good days here, NVIDIA. If you guys remember, it traded very nice before it got into this choppiness. We saw some good action out of it, starting with right in the pre-market, right? So we'll see what we can get out of it. All right, guys, we'll have to stop here. You guys have a lot of tickers there. It's a very active morning. As we said, our list is going to look a lot better than it did yesterday. Let's take just a few from YouTube as we have 5 minutes left for announcements. BYND, did we look at that? I believe we did.
I'm on point. Right? I can fast talk it this morning, so take a few.
Oh, sweet, man. Love it. BYND. Yeah. There might be some news on BYND. You could tell here.
Yeah, they keep saying McDonald's. I have not seen the headline on that yet.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, it looks like it's something going on there. Let's put it here. We'll put it on the main list just so we do not forget to look at it again. And we'll put McDonald's on a secondary list because there's nothing going on there. But if there's anything coming out, we'll just review those two before we delete McDonald's. That one is not. Oh, that's not part of the other conversation, right? All right. So
it's a catalyst for Beyond the Meat. Nobody's going to care about that on the other side. Yeah, McDonald's too big.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Let's take a look at Apple, MU. I see both of those on both sides here. Let's go see what's going on there. Apple this morning. All right. We got some volume. I like the volume on Apple, up almost 8% right now. Could be a good one. We'll put it as a secondary. We might move this up if like one of these are not acting great. But right now our list is looking very good. Plug is the one that could be concerning, here, but maybe Apple, we can replace NVIDIA for Apple. We'll take a look at that. MU, I see that on both chats this morning. MU today, they are up 1% after getting slammed the last couple of days here. I believe it was chip shortage that they had or something like that. 167,000. Yeah, we could get into a bounce here. Volume is a little bit lighter. That's typically normal action for MU. I'm going to put it as a secondary. We'll come back and take a look at that later. Heading down, we'll do two more here, guys. NEO and QCOM. Let's look at NEO today. Daily is interesting, guys. Getting up against this level of resistance right over here. We have not been able to break that in the last 4 or 5 days right in here. We've been stuck. Before that we were even lower, and before that we had like 2 weeks that we could not break this. What is this? 36.72. That is our high of our pre-market today, so that could be interesting. We're already early on this morning. We're trying to get above that. That could be nice, guys. I like the daily on this for a possible breakout. The volume I wish would be a little bit higher for NEO. We know NEO can trade, by now at 1.5 easily. We're not seeing that yet. But let's see. This breakout is probably going to happen, anytime now, but I'm not sure if it's going to be today. Pre-market though, we were in the red. Look at this. Pre-market high, down to the red, and back up against the pre-market high, almost against the pre-market high. So the range on NEO has been very nice this morning. Let's see if we can get the strength to push across that. And let's look at QCOM as the last one over from YouTube. See what we got here. QCOM, they typically don't trade. Yeah, I figured they were not going to trade very well. This is a very, very tough stock to trade. Even when they have news, guys, it's one of these stocks where it's just brutal. Very, very brutal.
NVIDIA, since what people are throwing out chip sector things, while not, it rarely has good pre-market activity. But 260,000 shares traded is a decent number for them. It might be possible, I would think.
Yeah. I have it here as well because again, this daily looks very interesting, and they has a couple of really nice days in here, guys, where we took advantage of that. So let's see if NVIDIA is looking to head higher over here. I see a lot of people throwing out A firm. Let's take a look at it quickly before we move on. But daily looks good. It's been trading better than usual, guys. I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's been trading a lot better than what it normally does. We have a couple of nice days here with some pretty nice breakouts. This list is packed. I'll put it as a secondary for now. we'll take a look at it. Brian, was it Brian yesterday had an amazing trade on A firm. He took it for the break. Was it to like 140 or something? Can't recall, but yeah, he took it for this break here actually. Yeah, for 145. By this point, he was still in it. I don't know if he got to 148. I don't recall, but man, he took a monster trade on A firm yesterday. So, all right, guys. With that said, let's go to our community events and announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list.
All right. Kyle's webinar was posted on advanced hotkeys. Next week, 5 p.m. Note the special time. You've got Eamon's trend trading webinar on Tuesday. Creda's overcoming money mindset blocks was last night. It might already be posted. If not, it will be very soon. Next week, we've got Nada talking about creating a successful mindfulness meditation routine. I'm going to need to have words with whoever created that title because I have not been able to say it ever since it was created. Don't do these pickle pepper things to me in the morning, man. All right. Just a reminder, all super chat, super sticker revenue is for the month is going to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. Thank you very much. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day and trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day with entries and exits, of course. Add as much commentary as you can to it. Post it on Twitter, tagging at Bearable Traders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT family, day trading, and stock market. We will pick a winner each day and announce it on Twitter and in the room. All those trades of the day are eligible for trade of the week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. If you're watching on YouTube and haven't been in the chat, you'd like to give it a try, you can do so with no obligation. You can go to bearabletraders.com, scroll down the page, click the test drive now. It will bill you one time. Use that promo code premarket24 and you'll even get a discount. We'll bill you one time. It does not recur. Give you 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. Includes access to the live onboarding and tech classes we do every Monday night beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to become a elite member and gain access to all the webinars that we were describing in the next 2 weeks in the future and all the archives of the one we've done in the past, use the promo code FALL40. That'll get you 40% off the annual elite membership.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Norm, for that. Cool, guys. Let's get to it. Let's see what we have here on our gappers list. So far on our main list, we have Tiger, which is definitely in play, guys. Zooming into this action here, a lot of activity this morning, down 11.4. We do have shares for sure. I checked earlier, it was quite a bit, 10 million, so that's good. Heading on down, we do have Futu on here. They are also down to 8%, 4.7. Getting a little bit of a bounce on both of them right now. The range on Futu, man, pretty nice. 85 was the high and 70.31 is the low of the pre-market. So a lot going on there. 4.7 million shares traded. We do have shares for short on this one. 5 million. Guys, be careful with this one. This one can move a lot. I mean, it's just look at the range, look at the candles that you want to treat this. It's not a low flow. I don't believe it is. But you want to treat it like one because
it moves.
It can move. It can really move.
It always worries me. I mean, the catalyst on that was government regulation in China. If some news drops on that in the middle of trading, that always concerns me.
These flimsy companies, man, you got to be very careful because if something can happen like it does on low, right? We tell people don't trade low flows when you're first starting out. Be very careful because the drop could be so unexpected. On these bigger companies that are a little flimsy like this one, those drops can happen even though they have a larger flow. So more likely than it can like on an AMD, on an NVIDIA, on an Apple, right? It's not going to happen on those stocks. It can, but not to the point where it drops, $3, right? It's just not the way it works. Careful on that one. Definitely in play though this morning. AMD looks good, guys, for a possible secondary play. See, when we look at something like this where you had a big day and you're gapping actually above the daily highs from the previous day, that's good. When you're coming down here and you're chopping around, that's usually not great open, right? There's a lot of indecision that's going to happen at the bell. People are going to be, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? They're going to sell. And then it can later, after an hour, trade well. But this is what you want to see, right? So sometimes when you hear Norman, I say, this second day doesn't really look good. That's the reason for that. AMD is good, guys. We'll keep an eye on that one. Plug, I love Plug's pre-market action, guys. It's got the volume. It's got a great daily. The action under this is not great at all. If it trades like that again, it's going to be a horrible trading stock. So we'll have to just manage that accordingly there. NVIDIA is good, and BYD. How many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll do levels for these 6 here, and then we'll run through our secondary list, see if there's anything worth there bringing up to our main list or replacing any of our main tickers this morning. All right, let's start with Tiger. Let's remove some of the levels we have up here, clean up this chart a little bit. Love the pre-market A62, very clean there. Towards the top, above the price action, we do have 965, area of support happening right there in these 3 days. And then above that, you don't need to add anything, guys. You're pretty much set. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. If we are able to break out above this 1060, 75 or so, then we can worry about adding more levels up here. But right now, I think you have plenty of levels above the price action this morning. Now, towards the bottom, we're in the pre-market right now in the 5-minute. We're dancing around this 923. So I'm going to slam that level there because you can see a support early on when the big drop started happening, right? That's kind of where it kind of stalled a little bit. Then here you have some more resistance happening right at that price action. And now you're battling against it now. Is there a daily level around there or something? Let me see. Go back. There might be something here in December, January. Let's take a look. Yeah, there is. There's a level right on there. So this might be the reason why we're doing that. Great area of support and resistance on the daily. And it's although we're going back to the beginning of the year, we have not been down here since then, right? So this level, though, is a pretty, a couple of months old, is the only thing you have. Outside of that, we have not been down here. So that's probably why we're interacting with that. Since we're here already below this 862, which is your low of your pre-market, the other big level I see on the daily is going to be this one, this 7447 here. 747, you can see very clean over there, area of resistance, and you got a little bit of support and resistance as well as you move later in the month there. So that is TIGR, guys. Looks very good as far as levels. We're pretty set there. Futu this morning, again, huge bounce right now, guys. We're up $7 from the market low at 70.31. So great bounce there. Let's move to the left. We have not been down here in some time as well. Very similar to Tiger since December, January. So going back to that time frame, this low of the pre-market, no surprise, a great area of resistance and support right on there. So that's why you're getting that. By the way, look at the run that we had in the beginning of the year. Right, look at January. We're sitting at $40. This thing hits 200 in a month and change, a month and a half or so. Madness. All right, heading down here below 70.30, right? 70.30. Let's do a couple of levels in case we do decide to come back down to the pre-market low. We do have 58.91 here. Great area of resistance until we get the next area of resistance and support, which is this one. You have 2 days on here, but there's not a lot of touches going on here, right? So I'm not gonna mark this level here. I think this is fine for now. We're not gonna over analyze this chart. We're gonna keep it the way it is at the moment. Heading down here, guys, from 70 to 65. That's a big move. So watch out for that. Watch out for that 65. This thing can move quite a bit. If you get a $2-3 moves on this thing, you're golden. Be aware that that's a big move for this stock. Here's AMD. We're set on that one. AMD's daily looks amazing, guys. Possible breakout from this previous day close. Right now, we're trying to get above this slight area of, well, not slight, but great area of resistance. This 1132, which is actually the pre-market high. Let me see. We put that on. Yeah, it's pretty close to the pre-market high, actually. If you do the pre-market high with 111.15, you can see right on the great area of resistance. More resistance happening here. So that's what we're trying to break out of today. If we head towards the top, clearly, this is an area that you want to keep on there. 114.53. You can see that there. Resistance. Heading into the top, we have 117. Again, I don't think we'll get there today, but everything is possible with the market. So you're set there. Minor area of support and resistance is going to be 112, right? It's not going to be a 114 where you come up, can't get above, they slam back down. But you do have a couple of days opening, closing right around that area. It looks good to have that on there. Towards the bottom, guys, we didn't spend no time because we don't need to. Previous day close, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days on AMD got you pretty much covered there. Here is Plug today, guys. Can Plug trade better in the intraday than it did yesterday? That is the question for Plug, right? Right now, pre-market action is exactly what you want to see. Look at this pop we're getting here now out of nowhere. So that is good. Again, it's just a lot of action going on here. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days doing a pretty decent job towards the bottom. In here, you can add this one. I like this level here, 32.91. Might be actually be 33. You could do whatever you like there, but definitely that area, you can see some areas of support and resistance, a lot of touches on the daily candles. And over here, guys, we do have a level over at 34.40. We're getting above that now. Pre-market high at the moment sitting at 35. So pretty good levels for a Plug here, guys, at the moment. We'll see where this is going to go. Again, it's just got to trade better than yesterday. Yesterday, if you missed the show earlier, we dug into yesterday's action and the pullbacks were just too deep. Yes, it did an uptrend, but the pullbacks were too deep. Unless you had a great entry right here, you would have been stopped out or had to hold to your break-even point quite a bit. And if you got in here, if you got in on the chase, you had a very tough time because the drop was just too deep to be able to hold through them. Here's NVIDIA, guys, up 1.8, 279,000. Tons of support towards the bottom, guys. You got everything going on there. King of all levels, previous day close on there, and highs and lows. So again, you're pretty much set there. Towards the top, you do have high of your pre-market sitting right at hold on, let's move this up a little higher. It's 213.37, right? So we'll throw that on there. And then this one, actually, we got to remove this one out of the way. There we go. And then above that, we do have a slight area right on here on 217. And then great support, guys, here at 222, right? Amazing support right on there. So a couple of daily levels there on NVIDIA. Volume looks good right now. They seem like they want to break out and go higher. Definitely going to keep that one in check. And we did get great intraday trading on this one a couple of days ago. BYND, we're just waiting to see what's going on here, guys. Definitely very active. As far as levels towards the bottom, your cover highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, previous day close, you got everything happening there. Towards the top, we do have a level here at 109. 109.19 area of great support. You can see the support happening there. Then we had the nice little breakdown, create the next level of support, which is the previous day close as of today. High of the pre-market 110.50. Right, we had a spike up there, then we slammed right back down again, fighting against this 109.19. The thing with BYND, guys, be careful. It can move very erratic. It can be very volatile, especially when it has volume. So be careful. It's not the best intraday trading stocks. There are opportunities on it for sure. They will be, but just be careful on the move of this stock. Right, it can move very aggressively, very similar to Futu. Although I think Futu has been most recently very aggressive. You want to be extremely careful with this one. Looking at Futu, looking at this 5 minutes, there's definitely a level here, 75.21. You want to throw that on there, guys. Area support, great resistance in the pre-market at the moment. Price action coming right back down to that. You got your VWAP and moving averages slightly below the price action right now. All right, so that looks good. Let's take a quick look at our secondary list. Anything we like here? A-Firm. A-Firm looks good, guys. I mean, I have not traded this recently. I haven't had much luck with this one, but it does look very good. Are we hitting all-time highs as well? Right? And, well, they had a conversation about partnering up with someone, right? Was it partnering up with Amazon? I forgot. There was a big name in there. I don't want to say Amazon without being 100% sure, but they were partnering up with some good company there, and that's a Target chip. Was it Target? Okay, that could be good. Yeah, that's a big name. But yeah, their pre-market action is good. If you like this one, put it on your list. Apple is great. I'm gonna keep a close eye on that one. SoFi, good opportunity there. Facebook, you know what? I'm gonna remove Facebook just to keep this list somewhat smaller. Let's remove Facebook. Bank of America is okay. MERA, Bitcoin stuff. You know what? Not today. MU. As much as I would like a bounce here, no. Let's get rid of that one. NEO this morning. I just don't think it's really in play, guys. Neo, so I'm going to remove it from now, even from our secondary list this morning. So we'll get rid of that. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's pretty good. Couple of secondaries, and then low flows. We have GRVI, which is very good this morning. NRXP. No, I don't like it right now. I'm going to get rid of it. Let's get rid of NRXP. That's no good. HLBZ. That's no good either. See this pop here we're talking about? You get this pop and you just start setting down like this. This is no good. You got to find a base, start hitting new highs, and then we'll be interested in it again. But right now, we're not interested in that kind of action. Let's get rid of that. And I think that looks a little bit more cleaner. Guys, let's bring over our... oh, Brian, you're in a swing trade on a firm. Sweet, man. Guys, if you have not done so already, sign up for the swing trading alerts. Members, you should be getting the email from Brian. Very clean cut email, guys. Just tells you exactly what he's looking at, gives you a recap of the stuff he has on watch, what the stuff that he's in already. And also every Sunday, he's following up with a video to kind of talk to you about the overall market and also give you an insight into the stuff that he likes. So, and guess what? For those who are not members, over on YouTube is completely free. Go to our website, go over to education, scroll down and sign up for Brian's Swing Trading Alert. Or you can also get his book, right? Don't just follow him. I mean, you could do that and you probably do very well, but don't just do that. Get the book and understand what you are doing. That's the responsible thing to do. All right, with that said, let's bring over our moderators watch list. As I am doing this, guys, please hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. It is extremely helpful for us, for our channel as well. So we appreciate that very much. All right, let's bring our list over here. Here we go. Let's see what we have this morning. So we have Mike looking at scanners, NVIDIA, the bank sector. Peter is looking at some, well, not looking at, but he's reporting some IPOs for today. A couple of SPACs there. Dima likes Apple, AMD, Plug, SoFi. Peter's looking at Apple, AMD, Futu. Secondary list, West Fargo, Bank of America, TSM, and X this morning. Andrew coming in with his list, Apple, AMD, SoFi, and beyond the meat there. Watch out for GRVI, very volatile, guys. So again, low flow of the day is that one. It's got 13 million, up 53%. So it's definitely rocking this morning. Just be very careful, guys. Simon coming in with his list: AG, American Airlines, DATS, and MERA. Brian, A-Firm, Futu, Plug, FCX, Facebook, Disney, and GRVI for fun. I think that's Brian's probably longest list he's had in a very long time. Thor, you could tell the market is back in play, baby. Thor, SPY, Apple, Plug, and secondary list Bank of America and Futu. And Amen, possible longs, DATS, SRPT, and potential shorts, MERA, AG, Bank of America, and maybe Baba. All right, guys, 917. Thank you so much for joining us over on YouTube. We appreciate you very much. Again, hit that thumbs up. If it's your first time here, consider subscribing. I'm getting some questions about the shirt. So this shirt, I did not buy this shirt. It was a gift from my brother. I don't know where he got it from, but I'm sure you can find it online or something. Maybe if maybe we could make some with BBT colors, it'll be nice. We'll see what we could do there. Add it to our store. We do have a store, by the way. Do we have the link on YouTube for our merchandise? I believe we do. I'm going to confirm that because I know there's talks about this. If you want to look at some BBT merchandise, you can go there to the BBT store. There it is. Brian should send the link. I'm going to send that out over on YouTube. If you're interested, you don't have to, but if you want to try something different, there's the link, guys. You can go check out our stuff, and we'll love to have you on there. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Over on YouTube, we're going to continue in the chat. Brian and Andrew are up next. They're going to be trading live. Jared coming in with his list, Facebook, Plug, and AMD. See you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. starting with Engineering the Markets. Take care, guys, and trade safe.